it's Jen the Builder.
And Corey.
And we are on the elevator, and I have to say, I almost didn't want to get on.
I know. That's why I asked you, and I was a little concerned, but thank goodness you were like, no, let's do this.
Yeah, and the only reason why I had second thoughts is because it's been an amazing day, and we're filming this the night before. So, it's like, oh, the house is so cozy. Oh, I just want to get ready for bed and lay down.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, there's this show I'm watching on Netflix. And I don't watch a lot of shows, or try not to at least.
Right.
But for my people who love a good show, and I think there's 8 episodes, it's called From Scratch on Netflix. When I got turned on to it, it was like number 10 in the top 10. You know how Netflix does that?
Yeah.
It's now top number 1.
Wow. Incredible. Yeah, I know you don't watch very many shows, as I don't as well. And so when you do get caught up into something, I know it's got to be pretty well written.
It is. It is. I would love to say that I am having a most excellent week.
Yeah, me too. I was paid a very good compliment today, and I'd like to share that.
Please do.
I was at work, and I'm going to be sharing some of the photos that I took today because it was the celebration of Day of the Dead.
Dia de los Muertos.
That right there. And I don't know how to say that properly, so I just say the American style Day of the Dead. However, I was getting into the elevator going up to your area, and a coworker got in the elevator, and he had some very colorful and elaborate tattoos. And I said, wow, man, you got some pretty nice work there. And he said, well, thank you. And he, explained a little bit. And I said, are you designing those yourself? He said, nope, I'm staying in my lane. I'll let them do that. And if I want a good song written, I'll ask you. And I was like, wow, well, thank you. I appreciate that. So, yeah, I thought I'd share that. That's always, nice to hear when someone pays you a compliment, saying that your skill is definitely something you should be doing,
Right. And it is something to be said on how you receive those compliments.
Right.
And I hesitate because I think we've done an episode on receiving compliments and being good with them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is awesome when you get a compliment. I received one too today. It just warmed my heart. But it's something I want to keep in here for a little bit because I believe that this person was just confirming something I knew was going to happen.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know the story.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to do this book. Let's try to wake me up.
Wake me up.
I feel like I'm drawing out my words, and I do that when I'm tired. But anyhow, we're in the book on questions about me, and I randomly picked 410.
Nice.
And the question is, name 3 beautiful things about where you live.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, go ahead. Start us off, because we live in the same place.
Yes, we do. And there are many things that are beautiful at the place where I live. The first thing that I would like to point out that is beautiful is you.
Aww.
The second thing I like to point out that is beautiful is my studio. And I say that because it's a beautiful thing. If you're into music, or have ever been into music, or have ever recorded music, it's a very expensive process. And so to have a studio at your house where you don't have to spend that large amount of money is a beautiful thing. And that's why it's so beautiful, because recording is costly. And if you ever go down that road, you'll realize, like, man, and it's for the talent. It's not for the equipment. I mean, the equipment does cost a lot of money, but you're paying for someone's ability to engineer and get your sound proper. And so that's another thing that's very beautiful about, where I live. Then there's just, home is where the heart is, and that's beautiful. When I'm out and about and I say I'm going home, that means something to me. It doesn't mean I'm going to the place where I live. I'm going to where my heart is, where my soul feels comfortable, safe place. And I'm not just getting a warm meal and a bed to lay in, but I'm having all the comforts of my home around me. And I've always been that way. I've never been the kind of person that would rather be in a hotel, would rather be somewhere else. I would rather be in my bed, in my home, doing the things that I love to do.
Mm-hmm.
That is beautiful.
Good answers. I'm going to go a little broader, and where we live, for those who don't know, is Southern California. And so what I love about where we live, especially tonight, is the cooler weather.
Oh, yeah.
There is a wonderful cold breeze. The sky is gorgeous, just cleared. And I love talking to a good friend of ours, and she shows me pictures of where she sees Mars, from her place.
The planet Mars?
Planet Mars.
Not the Mars bar.
No.
Okay.
She had a picture of Mars and Orion and, all that amazing stuff. But anyways.
Orion?
Is it Orion or Orion? and I'm not going to say it's because I'm sleepy. I really thought what did I call it? Orion?
Orion.
It's Orion?
Yeah.
Okay. And we're not editing that. It just is what it is. So Orion.
That was original and that was real.
So yeah, I love the weather right now. And you asked me, Corey, you said, do you think the warm weather is gone?
Is it behind us?
It's behind. I think it is.
I hope so.
I think it is. I think we're enjoying our fall weather into winter. So there's that. I definitely love where I live because it's home sweet home. I think you and I have made our house a home in so many different ways. And I wish you all could see it for those who are catching this on YouTube. We went a little, I don't want to say a little much, but this is the most we've decorated for fall.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes me wish that fall would just kind of linger because we decorate to the seasons. And so winter season will be here before you know it. And I don't get to see the fall things until next fall.
Yeah.
But either way, I'm going to enjoy it for right here, right now. And there's so many pieces to our home that I love. Right now, I'm enjoying the return of my vanity and my dressing room area.
Yeah.
It feels good.
And so it should.
I love it. Yeah. So anyhow, we could go on and on about our favorite things about where we live. But you had mentioned something earlier, Corey, when you said there's no other place you'd rather be but home. And you mentioned a safe place.
Mm-hmm.
And safe comes up a lot for me lately in conversation, in the work that I do and coaching that I do. Safety and setting that space is really important. Have you ever, well, let me not play silly. I know you have worked in a space that wasn't safe. And just thinking about what that's like, because it's been a while since I've felt that. And I just want to be brought back to reality, especially dealing with so many different people and different teams. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I hear you. Actually, I will refer to one of my very first jobs. I believe I was in the 10th grade. I probably shouldn't have been working. And and I'm just putting it out there, but I was doing security for an organization. And this organization was, now that I look back, I want to say this organization wasn't doing things on the level. I'll put it that way. And so they had 3 young boys that were in school doing security overnight and then going to school first thing in the morning. And I was actually trying to help mom and dad because clothes were hard to come by and money was really tight. We've never been poor, but I knew if I wanted to wear the kind of clothes that would keep me out of the, bully's eyesight, I was going to have to find a way to make some money. So I had already been doing the lawnmower thing, mowing lawns and so forth, but I needed a little bit extra more. So I took 3 nights on a week doing security. And let me tell you, that was pretty darn unnerving. I remember I was sitting at the tail end of a hallway where the back door was, and the back door was facing a open street. And I had fallen asleep at about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I woke up to homeless people doing drugs. And
oh my goodness.
The only thing that saved me was that the back window was tinted, so they couldn't see in, but I could see out. And the drug deal was about to go bad, and I was like,
oh my
I need to get out of here. And the only phone that I had access to was a payphone. So I would have had to call the police by payphone, which would have meant I would have had to get up, walk over to the payphone, put money in, and risk being heard. Fortunately, one of the guys that was with them said, let's get out of here. I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel safe right here. And so the bad drug deal ended, and they got up and they left. And so maybe he felt my presence inside the building, and decided that he wanted to move on. But yeah, that was a very unsafe situation.
I'd say I've never had anything even close to that. I think for me, where I was going with safety, because, there are different levels and definitions of safety.
Yeah.
I think for me, it was where false things were being shared.
Oh, yeah.
And that's always unnerving. So I think I've shared on that in prior episodes. But second to that, it's not a good feeling when you have, or you're part of a team where you can't speak your truth. Where you just feel like you're not supposed to have an opinion. You can't ask the questions, because I used to have a supervisor that when I would ask questions purely out of curiosity, not challenging or trying to be challenging in any kind of way, it was a form of disrespect to even ask a question.
Right.
So for someone like me, it's really hard to do something that I'm not totally convinced of.
Right.
So it's those spaces like that. And I really had to go way back in time to remember what that felt like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think is so important that as we're doing anything new, or, we've been talking about it's the last 90 days now, 60 days of this year into the new year. And you're thinking about the different initiatives, the strategies, the action plan, and we use these words. I just find that it helps me to go back in time and remember what certain situations felt like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I purposely went to a physical safety and safe point of view first, if you allow me to give you an emotional unsafe place that I was in. I gladly share that with you. This wasn't too long ago, but what I will say, I don't want to get into any details, and I don't want to get into any actual factuals. And the reason why is because I have since then moved on. I have forgiven, and I have healed from that unsafe, hurtful place that I was in. But being in an unsafe, hurtful place is, it's pretty scary. But I went into this, I think the last episode that we had. And I just, want to express that if anyone is ever experiencing that type of unsafe situation, I would give this for advice. Find someone that you can confide in that's above you and possibly above the person that's creating that unsafe environment, and get some good counsel, get some good advice before making a move. I did make a few moves in that situation, and I don't feel like it was the best moves that I could have made. And I think I shined a bad light upon myself at points and
Mm,
times, and it made the unsafe situation even more unsafe because I did some, and it wasn't inappropriate things. It was just, not knowing how to navigate those waters.
sure.
And so, what I would say is to get good counsel and get advice from someone that's above you and above the person that's creating that unsafe space. And then find your emotional stability and get some solace and rest there.
Yeah, I like that piece of advice. And to add to that, Corey, if it continues to be unsafe, protect yourself and walk.
Oh yeah, I
Or
mean, I would encourage if it got to the point to where you felt like you were going to have some mental or emotional instabilities, that yeah, probably walk. However, that option is not always available, and we totally understand that. So you just have to dig deep and figure out how you're going to move around in that situation. Um,
oh, I remember before you had said that you plan, like you can have the plan to, okay, this is not where I need to be, so let me set myself up so I can um, move forward.
yeah, and that's what I was just about to say. You just have to plan your exit or your strategy on
Right.
how you're going to operate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I do want to be fair though. And part of the reflection, I always think too, when have I caused someone to possibly feel that there is no trust or a psychological, not safe place? You know what I
Well,
mean?
to piggyback off of that statement, I'm a strong believer in hurt people hurt people. So if you've been hurt, if you've been put in an unsafe situation, the typical thing to do is to do the same behavior to someone else, unless you get some help,
Right.
unless you get some advice.
Or like
Fortune,
you said,
yeah,
healing and forgiveness.
yeah, and I got healing. I was able to give forgiveness, and it allowed me not to put other people in unsafe situations. And I was able to go back and apologize for some of the hurtful things that I
Mm-hmm.
was doing and saying to coworkers. Just and explain to them, hey man, I was hurt. I was, distracted. I was not in a good place. And I was very fortunate to work with a group of people that said, we get it. We understand.
Right.
No problem. Let's move on. We're not gonna bring this up no more. And that's what it was.
So I have a question for people who may be part of the rest of the year and what they want to take care of has to do with a relationship that requires, or hopefully you're thinking, I should just move on, forgive, and, call it that. And there are people who find it hard to forgive. And I know everyone's situation is different. What do you recommend for something that's been done so heinously against you that it's just not that easy to say, oh, I forgive you?
Well, the circumstances have to be proper. That's first and foremost. You don't just wake up after being in a bad situation, being hurt and feeling unsafe, and say, you know what, I'm going to forgive and just move on. That's just not the way things typically happen. And for me, the circumstances presented itself to where the person that was putting me in this situation realized, because he was put in a situation that he felt uncomfortable. He felt like things were unsafe for him. And not because of anything anybody was doing to him. I just think that whole karma thing finally caught up to him. You know what I mean? And so once he experienced that, he wanted forgiveness. He wanted a way out. He wanted to not have that pressure on him. So I don't know what that looks like for anybody else, but I definitely know that the circumstances have to present themselves before you can move on. But always having an open heart and willing to forgive is a good place to be if you can make it there. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you're so angry, you're so bitter, you're so hurt that you just don't, those tools aren't available to you at that time. You've tucked them away in a very deep cavern, so you can't get to those things at the moment, you know?
Yeah. Oh, good points. Good points. And I'm just thinking, and I'm kind of dazed because I am literally going in my mind and taking stock of relationships that are important to me and what's the state of them. You know, it's now the beginning of November and we're going to be spending a lot of time with family and friends. And I have to say, one of my pet peeves is having to hang out with people and you know that there are issues, but you just fake the funk for the sake of a family dinner or because of tradition or whatever. You know what I mean? So I don't know what that's like for anybody else. And there is one relationship that very near and dear to my heart that has been broken. And so just to share where I'm at with that is I am holding on to the faith that there's going to be a moment that will present itself where we can talk about those things. And my hope is always that it's not too late. And I know some people will say, well, Jen, you're not promised tomorrow. And you're absolutely right. You're not promised tomorrow. This relationship, though, needs to be handled with care. And there needs to be a lot of time and a lot of energy that's going to be going out to have that conversation. Now, in my mind, I'm not creating what that would look like to have a conversation, but in my heart, I'm getting prepared. You know, so even now to prepare, it's just, can I let go of those things? Does it benefit me to let go of something that I'm holding on to that could physically harm me, mentally cause anxiety? You know what I mean? And that's where, for me, I feel forgiveness is worth it because I'm not carrying it. And I hold it in a very special place because there is going to have to be a conversation. And you know that kind of way, Corey, where you just know that, okay, now's the time. And then at the same time, you know, now's not the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, if that opportunity presents itself and it's a bad outcome, it makes it even worse. As a matter of fact, it's probably one of those things that's so damaging that you refuse to revisit it. And that's where I thought I was going to go at one point in time. And I said, I'm probably never going to get over this. And I'm probably going to just have to figure out how to navigate without the healing and without the forgiveness. I just hope and pray that your circumstances presents a good outcome.
Me too. And I have a feeling it will. Because it's something I think about a lot. I pray about a lot, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's where I'm at. Anyhow, anything else, like as we're talking about 60 days, because it's literally 60 days.
It's a countdown.
Till the end of the year. I am so glad, like, where we're at in life right now and just the clarity that we're getting. And I don't know if this is a running theme for anyone else, but there is like this 2023 is going to bring something, right? And it's not that normal feeling like, oh, it's a new year, new day, new dawn kind of thing. It's just, I'm excited about what's to come.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm just like, bring it, and we're planning for it. Don't know what it is, but we're planning for it. Anyhow, I'm rambling, and it's just dawned on me that maybe we should record on another night or day for the Wednesday midweek thing. And let me say something else about that. One of the reasons, too, why we went ahead and recorded, number one, is our commitment to each other in this podcast.
Yeah.
Number two, when I do things and they start forming a pattern. So if I miss 2 weeks in a row, that's going to mess with me.
Oh, yeah.
The next week will be like, oh, we already missed 2. So that's something that I've learned to do. We don't have to get stuck in the things that we do. You can make a decision to say, okay, I just got to take care of this. So let me just say thank you for being here for this episode. I know I'm a little all over the place, and you guys are probably like, come on, just say what it is you want to say. But we're here, right?
And I think you did a great job, and I'm sure everyone will say the same thing. I think we're pretty spot on, and so no need to apologize for me or to me. I'm sure the people that are listening that give the responses will tell you the same. I think we're in a good
That's
space.
because we have very gracious and kind people, and I'm really glad to have that. Corey, before we go, I do want to say a huge congratulations to the continued success. And just, Corey shares numbers with me. I'm like, how many people can listen to your songs all at the same time? And I'm thinking, but it's the whole wide world.
Yeah.
It's
incredible. I have
to say, did we share this about the newspaper?
I don't remember. I think we did.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm still on a high over that.
Yeah. Well, we've had 2 newspapers and a write-up at work, and then a concert at work. And then today I'm looking at the numbers, and we just have an abundance of people. When you're an artist, you have the ability to see in real time people listening to your
That's so cool.
material.
Talk about love on the spot.
Yeah. And so... But it's twofold because you can look at that thing and it says 0 and you're like, oh my God, nobody cares. And then you can see this large number of people listening and you're like, oh my God. So it's twofold. And I just so happen to take a glance. I don't look at it every day.
You are resilient though. I can't even look at numbers because it'll mess with me. And you're just like, I want data, and I love data. But there's something about when it's data on me, myself, and I'm not a fan of that. If whatever numbers pops up is what pops up.
Well, I got to know what I'm doing wrong, what I'm doing right, and if I need to.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. Last but not least.
Sure.
After work today, we ran into such a wonderful friend of ours, and he was like, is everyone happy where you work?
I sure did.
Because his wife says, oh, we did this and we did that. And so I know you started this episode with Dia de los Muertos and just the amazing display of things and the honoring of the way they practice that. And I love it because it's new to me.
Right.
I've seen it, I've heard about it, but to actually be in it was pretty cool. And so thank you to the people we work with that honor that day and just sharing that in our space.
Yeah, and while you were talking about that, and I'm glad you brought it up because I really wanted to mention this, he has a podcast, and I want to give them a shout out. His name is Clarence, and I don't know if he's like the main guy, but I did take a look at one of the episodes, and I looked at the whole YouTube page. I subscribed and I followed, and then I seen some of the episode while we were at dinner at a restaurant. But what I do know is that they're going strong. They've got lots of episodes. The podcast is Our 2 Cents. That's OUR2, and cents is the CENT. And so check it out. Yeah, CENT. Yeah. And so check it out. And it's about sports. So I'm not huge into sports, but I'll definitely give them a listen and follow and like some of their stuff because that's what we do. We're building a community here.
That's right.
And we want everyone to feel welcome.
Yeah.
So check it out if you're a sports person, and check it out if you're not a sports person. Just give some love to another podcast.
Yeah. So with that being said, where we work, and I know we never share the name, and I don't think we will. ever, unless something changes. But either way, when I say...
When we get that very special guest, we will.
Right. But when I say that this company knows how to treat their team members...
Oh, yeah.
And we've got events like you've never seen before. And the desire to engage and to honor things like DEI, that's a whole nother topic. But they're so about the people. And so as we start November, I want to start with a grateful heart and just show immense thanksgiving for the place that we work at. I've been there for over 8 years. And when I started, I said, this is the last employer I work for. Because after that, I go for myself. But you don't get an employer this good and think you're going to find that somewhere else.
No.
You know? And I know I've heard great things about Google, although I don't know anyone personally that works at Google or these bigger companies. I just can't imagine this being topped. And I'm okay to think that way because ignorance is bliss. I don't need to know what Google does. I know what our company does, and it is a blessing.
Indeed.
Indeed. Well, you know us to take the elevator. We say, look up and let's elevate. I messed that up.
You sure
Wanna try
did.
it again?
Sure.
Look up and let's elevate.
Every